regional ministers, and it is about impounding and prohibition of drivers without valid license on the road. I'm going to read it's such a short communication. Let me read it quickly. It says, in accordance with Road Traffic Regulations 47-158 of LI 2180 of 2012, DVLA will begin impounding belonging. I think it's impounding belonging to drivers who 1. drive without original license, 2. do not have license at all, 3. drive with expired license, 4. drive with photocopied license, 5. drive with fake license, and 6. use wrong class of license. Note that the authority will not permit any of these infractions any longer from the 1st of May 2023. That's today. This includes all road users using vehicles, no exemptions, except vehicles for police, prisons, fire, military, and immigration registered number plates. Please treat this as a caution to avoid embarrassment and inconvenience. And that is signed by Abdullahi Mutawakil, who is regional manager for DVLA. He was writing to the Northern Regional Minister. So there you go. Now, we thought we'd check a few things because for many of you, your understanding of the law may have been different. Mine certainly was. I genuinely thought that if I'm stopped by the police and I didn't have my license on me, I had some 24 hours to produce it. I thought that my car would not be impounded if I was stopped and I didn't have my license on me.
That apparently is a discretion.
Well, that's why we are here. We want to find out. So, of course, we've got prominent Ghanaian lawyer Martin Kpebu on the line to help us understand what the law says about these things. Mr. Kpebu, it's always a pleasure. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Kojo. Morning.
Yeah.
Morning. Hi.
So, I think we can get straight to the point with this one. Yes. The letter quotes Traffic Regulations 47-158 of LI 2180 of 2012. These things that they say are now prohibited, is that what the law says?
No, Kojo. I think the letter is, you can see there's an attempt to communicate, but the communication is a bit, let me say, not the best. It's not the best. So let's go into it one by one. Oh, Kojo, and I forgot my usual disclaimer. Please, not prominent Ghanaian lawyer. Ruchi. This is our profession, Charlie. We're always learning, and there are seniors. Far better than me, but they choose not to, speak on radio.
You have to get used
my regards to Mama V2.
Indeed.
Okay. So, Kojo, number one, let's go straight to the impounding. I think that one causes us a lot of fear and panic, so that then we'll come to the license. The impounding is being quoted out of context. When we go to the regulation 158, the context of the impounding is when it's been packed. You pack it by the road and then leave it like that. That's how come they would take it away. But not that you are driving and then, let's say, you've not produced the license. And so for failure to produce your license, get down. Then we impound your vehicle and take it to the police station. You see the context? That has never been the law. If you fail to produce your license, then you don't get your vehicle impounded. No. It's so now we're coming to the license here. I see the
Actually, before we get to the license, let me just clarify this on the impounding. My understanding was that if your vehicle is considered to be evidence, or it's considered to be evidence of a crime, then the police can impound it.
Excellent. So that's a different. I thought, let's address this. So that's why I said the way they put this one here is out of context. You just don't impound. So you're saying evidence of a crime. When you fail to produce your license, no, it's not been an understanding. It's not been the practice that the evidence of the crime is to impound the vehicle. No. That's not how the practice is. Evidence of a crime, they impound it as evidence of a crime. Let's say you are carrying narcotics, typically narcotics or any other contraband, like we say smuggled goods. So in that case, then they just take the vehicle and the goods to the police station. But the failure to produce a license is usually not, it doesn't result in impounding a vehicle. That's not it. And we are not about to allow that now.
But would they be breaking the law if they were to do that?
Oh, absolutely. You can't take somebody's property just like that. No. I will park it where, except that now you see that the 158, if you park it wrongly, they can impound. But if you can park it at somebody's house or a safe place, it's not on the road, blah, blah, you can choose to park it and then you go, and even the license, they are not supposed to take you to the police station straight. They can give you a discretion. But maybe, so sorry, we have to go a bit into the license in trying to explain the impounding thing. So what I'm saying is that you are not bound to go with your vehicle to the police station if you don't want to. You can leave it. And so if he wants to fix you, the policeman wants to fix you, then you see that he would say he's arresting you that for any of those offenses, expired license or no license at all. And when he says he's arresting you, a lot of the time we don't like to leave our vehicles elsewhere. So practically, you drive it there. You see how it ends. And then sometimes that's when they attempt to take the key. But if you don't want your vehicle to go, it doesn't go. It is not the practice that when you are not holding a license, then straight away they would impound your vehicle and take it to the police station. No,
Right.
not how practically it works.
Okay.
Except, of course, when you don't know your rights, then some rogue nuts or some rogue police officers would abuse your rights, so they want to impound it. But we want to discourage that.
Okay, so you were going to make a point about the licensing, after which we've also been joined by Samson Lade-Anyenini, who has some more education and thoughts for us. But good morning, Samson. But first, Mr. Kwebu, if you want to complete the point about the license.
Yeah, so the license, when you go to the regulation 47, the first part requires that produce it. It says shall. You see that thing?
Yeah.
You shall produce it. But subsequently, then it gives the police to give you 24 hours. When you read the two together, naturally, don't forget, we are human beings. The laws are made for us, not us for the laws. So it's the 24 hours one that will trump the produce it immediately. Because when the law says produce it immediately, then also states that the police may give you 24 hours to produce the license. The reasonable thing is to expect that you'll be given 24 hours to produce it. So it can be that you will be taken to the court immediately or you'll be processed for court because you couldn't produce it immediately. So watch this. What happens is that so immediately we bring in Article 19, Clause 11. So 1911 then says that nothing is a crime unless it's been specifically so stated in the law. It is not a crime. So when you want to criminalize something, it is specifically stated that if you fail to produce your license immediately, same constitutes an offense and XYZ is a punishment. So in the absence of that, when you fail to produce it, it's not an offense. Failure, the production alone, yes, from the 47 hasn't made it an offense. If you don't have it, they will charge you for driving without a license. That's a different matter. But I say go and bring it. It's in your house. Or maybe, let's say, you've come from Boku and you forgot maybe you're in a hurry, an emergency or something. Maybe they are bringing a patient to hospital or something. I mean, you just think about any other reason or you just forgot. Obviously, you need some time to go and bring it. So it can be that as soon as where's your license, you don't have your license on you, then that by itself is an offense.
But Mr. Kwebu, as you can imagine, those of us who are not lawyers driving around town, we will where may supersedes shall.
Oh, I think a lot of them, as soon as I can't say a lot, but I remember there are some that I've raised that thing with in the past, then they say, okay, yes, it's your discretion. Yeah, sometimes some are bullies, so they try to bully you. Oh, it's my discretion. It's my discretion. I say, yes, your discretion, but what are you going to do? You have to exercise it in my favor. Because if you don't, then it's also not an offense. You can't say that the fact that I don't have it on me means that I don't have it at all. So you can't use that. So it comes a lot, it boils down to the practical application. But
Right.
I've seen that in all of this, a lot of the time when you're polite, it helps. Just the fact that you have, he may give you 24 hours, like as I say, it's a discretion. Don't aggress a police officer like, oh, yes, he must necessarily. So you see that as soon as you are aggressive, then sometimes they also want to show you fault. It's not the best. But I think in all of it, if as a driver, if you are polite, it goes a long way in helping to resolve the issue.
Okay.
Don't immediately get this defensive and very discourteous towards them. Of course, we also know that some too, the moment, like we say in Ghanaian English, you are soft, then they think, oh, you are good prey, so that they can get something out of you. So it's a balancing act. You look at the situation, then you judge and act accordingly.
Samson, you've been following this as well. I wonder what your take is on it.
Yes, so could you recently, a judge's frustration led me to renew a crusade against this unlawful conduct, particularly by police officers, and I should say errant police officers.
Right.
The judge was very livid that a vehicle was impounded and the vehicle was no evidence of any crime, or the impounding of the vehicle was not caught by Section 158. Now, this is what it is. If you have checked, previous police commanders, very enlightened ones, I remember from Dupoku at the regional levels, and to even, I think, Buenum, the rest of them, I'm not sure. I haven't heard what Dr. Dampare has said about it. But the law is quite clear, and the DVLA cannot, cannot attempt to do what it's seeking to do. Now, Kojo, they refer to two sections of the law. Sections 47, Section 47, and 158.
Yeah.
The two are separate, they are distinct, and they are never the same. Section 47 is about production of driver's license. So it is not about the vehicle, but it is about the one driving the vehicle and whether or not they have a license. The law requires that you should keep your original driver's license. Some people, for some reason, may take a shot of it in this day and age of technology and keep the original at home. Some may do a photocopy of it because they are not too sure if they will lose it on the way or in the course of the day. So the thing to do is not to say, if it is a photocopy, we will impound your car. If it is not the original, we will impound your car. That is acting arbitrarily and acting as if, you're actually not reading the law in a friendly manner also. First of all, you are abusing the law and you're not doing it in a friendly manner. Your job is not to punish people, so to speak. Your job is to be good to people. You are supposed to be the people's friend. So deal with them nicely. Somebody does not have the license on them, not because it is deliberate. Okay? Somebody may have a number of vehicles. And at one point or the other, they are moving one vehicle and they may have put the license in another vehicle. So what you do, Kojo, is you require of them, as the lawmaker has said, 24 hours to make a production. Now, here is your state, Kojo. punishing you for failing to do what it has to do. So the state is supposed to make sure that your addressing system is good, and so we can follow you to your address. Your identity is easy to trace, so we can take your identity and rely on it. The state is failing to do this job and do it well, and therefore some of the officers, their default is to say, okay, since we cannot assure that you will come back, you will bring the license for inspection. Since we cannot be sure of your address, since we are not too sure of your identity, we will impound your vehicle. It's wrong. You can't do that. Now, Kojo, the section 158 is about examination of a vehicle. That's why it's not about the person driving it and the license they are supposed to be holding. So they shouldn't read the two together. That's what they have done, and it's wrong. The first one is about 47. It's about driver and his license. It has nothing to do with the vehicle. The second one they have quoted, 158, is about the vehicle and not the individual. The vehicle, examination of the vehicle. So it's either the DVLA is appointing somebody to do an examination of the vehicle, and in many cases they don't have the people to do that, so they will let the police officers do that. The NTTD people do that. Is to examine to be sure that your vehicle is roadworthy. For example, you have your what's it called? Your insurance and so on. That's about the vehicle. The vehicle. To check to see the vehicle is faulty, or that, for example, it's a vehicle you have converted in a manner you are not supposed to have converted to. Okay? It's a vehicle that is carrying things in a way that is not permitted by the law. So, number one, maybe your lights are not working, your brakes are faulty. The second provision is about the vehicle, the item, and not the individual and the qualification of the individual. It is the 47, which is about the individual. And 47, as you can read, does not talk about impounding a vehicle. Absolutely not. It is the inspection that has, among including what to do, the options of what to do, impounding the vehicle. So this misreading must stop. And I'm telling you, I've sat in court and heard judges, not one judge, express so much frustration at how some of the errant officers continue to punish, citizens. Someone is feeling very frustrated. You don't know what may have happened to them, what circumstance in which, they may have, picked a vehicle, or where they left from and jumped into the vehicle. You don't know all of these. I'm not saying that there should be a permission for driving without a license, but you need to deal with them humanely and get to understand why they do not have a license. If they don't have a license, then apply what the law says. It is not impounding the vehicle.
Yeah. Now the DVLA officer is writing to the regional minister. He says, after listing all these things, he says no exemptions, and please treat this as a caution to avoid embarrassment and inconvenience. And he also says the authority will not permit any of these infractions any longer from the 1st of May. So I suppose my question here is this, does the DVLA actually have powers to arrest people if they say they will not permit these infractions? Exactly to what extent does the law allow the authority to not permit any of these infractions? I'll hear from Martin first on this one.
Yeah, you said the extent which the law allows them to impound, right?
Yeah, no, to not. They say the letter says that the authority will not permit any of these infractions any longer from the 1st of May. And I'm asking, to what extent does the law allow the authority to basically enforce these laws themselves as an authority and say that they will not permit? Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So, there is this pattern that the law gives the DVLA a huge role, very, very huge, with not been looking at it. Let's go to the 47. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to read. I'll paraphrase
Okay.
because I'm preparing to go into court.
Mm.
It says a uniformed police officer or an authorized officer of the DVLA may ask for the license. So a police officer or an authorized officer of the DVLA can ask for. So I've seen situations where they've done the operations together. So you see DVLA people and then police, and I think also road safety people. So that one, as citizens, I think we should comply. An authorized officer, except that they've not shown us what is the meaning of authorized. Should we ask them to show a letter of authorization first? Maybe we can look at that so that we don't have DVLA officers just appearing somewhere and demanding to see licenses, because we are used to the police doing so. And even when it comes to the police, for him to take the license, he should not be below an inspector. So a corporal, a sergeant, etc., cannot take your license. He says not below inspector. I think there's a provision like that. So please, the DVLA, when it comes to the license request, they have a rule. Then let's go to the 158. There's something to there in 158. So the inspection, they have a rule. So they have to inspect. You know, vehicle licensing and inspection is their work. But let's watch this. They say if the license, so even just to further show how the impounding should be carefully circumscribed, it says that they can inspect the vehicle, right? Now, when they inspect, and this vehicle is even defective, you remember something was mentioning that, let's say you don't have headlights, etc. They are even saying that they may just prohibit that, assuming they are not going to prosecute for what the vehicle doesn't have. It says the police officer may, in writing, order you not to use the vehicle. The point I'm at pains to stress is that it doesn't mean as soon as a vehicle doesn't have any particular part or there is a dysfunctional part, immediately the result is impounding it. No, that's not it. Unless, like, if it's narcotics, if it's very huge, but if it's a small matter, so to speak in Ghanaian English, they may put in writing that don't use this vehicle again, please.
Right.
And that provision, let's make as much noise about it as possible, because then it helps the officers with the power to see that it's not one automatic result, that because my headlight is not working, automatically impound. So it says you make this something right, that is don't use this vehicle again until you finish. Because we want to stop situations where it's more infraction and you are in court. If it's more infraction and court, to as a what do you call it, motorists should just disregard the law. No, but we're just discussing so that as we grow, we want to avoid the overbearance is too much. We are just overbearing. They listen. Hey, Yacho. They listen. Yacho. Then the next thing, some want to extort money. So that's what we want to show, that let's stress that it's not every infraction that means that impound a vehicle. No, you can also say, I'm ordering you, I'm putting this in writing, you will not use this vehicle again until you fix it. Right? Then let's go again, the same 158. Look at the impounding. We too, sometimes we should also note that the 158, when they impound, they say when you have parked the vehicle on the road, so wrong parking, you are not allowed to park here, yet you've parked it on the road. Then they say they can tow it to safety, because where you've parked the vehicle, let's say in a curve, you know, sometimes the vehicle is broken down, we don't want to spend money getting a car to come and tow it, etc. Okay? Or maybe just a mistake, you've parked at the wrong place and they think this is a very busy road. They can impound it and take it to a place of safety. So here we also as citizens have to watch that as soon as you hear impound, it's not as if it's to punish you. It says to a place of safety until the owner can be identified. Then they will sort it out. So please, I think this is important too. DVLA have a rule. Let's give them all the respect, but you should also be careful not to, especially parents. That's what you want to stop. Listen, police and DVLA want to.
Right. That line is not holding out, unfortunately, but we got the general thrust of your submission there, Mr. Kwebu. Samson, I want to wrap with you, and I guess the question now remains: what should people do out on the streets? What's your advice to citizens if they are stopped and this issue comes up and they do have a license, they just don't happen to have it with them? What is the correct way to handle such a situation?
The law's requirement is that a police officer of the rank, as permitted by law or prescribed by law, can, at any time, without notice to you, require to see your license. So carry that license. This is very simple. Carry that license. You took that license for a purpose, and the law says carry it. The same way you carry your ATM card, the same way you carry your Visa card. Carry the license with you. It's as simple as that. Now, if a circumstance has led to you not having it, the one stopping you, if they ask for it, explain politely. The thing is that their discretion is something that you may not be able to do anything about. And there is a certain impression. I don't know if it's an African problem. Once you exhibit the slightest knowledge of the law to a security officer, they begin to want to be hostile to you, as if you are trying to teach them their work. As if the best thing is not for all citizens to be properly educated and know even the laws to make their work easy. That a citizen knows the law you are dealing with is to your advantage as a police officer or as a DVLA officer. If they try to quote the law to you, take your time. Both of you get to have an explanation. Disagree with their view. That's fair enough. That's why a court comes in. But we know, Kojo, that the systems are such that you will not want to waste your time in court. You will not want them to book you and ask you to come to court on whichever day, and you will not want to, as it were, miss your work or some important assignment to attend the court where you may sit in the courtroom from 8 a.m. and not know when exactly your case will be called. That you may sit in a courtroom from 8 a.m. and your case will be called at 1 p.m. You do not know. Unless you are someone who doesn't have good use of your hours. People are carrying dollar hours, precious hours. They don't have all of that time. So they know it. And so once these things happen, they know the thing you will do easily is to, slip the 5 CD or 20 CD or even sometimes 50, 10 CD, 100 CDs, and you walk away. You have not wasted any time. But the more we all do such things, or a good number of us do such things, the more we corrupt our society, and the rules will continue not to be obeyed. Because it must be stated without any equivocation, with all the emphasis that we can master, that this, what you are doing this morning, is part of the whole process. The section 158 is for an examination of the vehicle. It is the reason the law goes further to talk about, for example, if the vehicle was parked. So it is in twofold: an examination of the vehicle and where you have parked the vehicle. And it is the reason it says if it is parked and they decide to impound it and drive it to or tow it to the police station, when you are called upon as the owner, you should be asked to produce the vehicle. Produce the vehicle. They should distinguish between 47, which is about the person and the license they are supposed to carry, and 158, which is about the vehicle and what is about it. So that distinction is important, and the law is without any, as it were, ambiguity on the sanction for when they inspect and you have not, as it were, your vehicle is not compliant. When they inspect and your vehicle is not compliant, the law says that you could be subject to a fine when you are put before a court and you are convicted. You could be subject to a fine of not less than 25 penalty units. 25 penalty units. A penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
So not less than 25 penalty units, or not more than 20. Not less than 25 penalty units, or not more than 50 penalty units, or in the extreme situation, I hardly see any judge send people to jail for this. But in the extreme situation, imprisonment of not more than 3 months, or both the fine and that, depending on how reckless you were in what you did. But when it comes to examining the licenses, we beg our people. We are your friends. We are your family. We are your relations. Be kind. Be courteous. If somebody knows the law and they are quoting it back at you, don't take that to mean, are you teaching me how to do my work? That's not good. You want them to know your law, so it makes your work easy for you. And so far, I think if you check over the period, police commanders, IGs, they have not taken to that, at least as the default. Like this circular is making it the default thing they have to do. Once you can't produce it, your car is impounded.
Yeah.
This is not right. Let's not do this. We are too eager to find fault and punish. Too eager to want to. I don't know how else to express it, but that attitude itself is very bad.
Yeah. Just one piece of education before we wrap up with you, Samson. You know this thing where the police, when they stop you and they, for example, ask for your license and you don't have it, they then sit in your vehicle and say, "Let's go to the police station." Is that lawful?
It's unlawful. No one has the power, authority to sit in your vehicle without your permission. If they do, they commit a trespass. It's your property. No one can trespass on your property. No one can have access to your property without your say-so or permission. If they do, they are committing an offense of trespass, even in the exercise of their so-called mandate. Now, let's know something. The fact that, police officers or security persons or people so authorized are seeking to enforce the law doesn't mean that they may not be acting ultra vires their powers. That means they are exceeding their powers.
Right.
And when they do so, they are on the floric of their own. And when they do so to the authority, the police organization or the security organization, should not treat it as something that concerns the institution. But it's an errant officer's conduct, and that must be punished. The Constitution says your property is not to be invaded. So if they do so, it's wrong. If you are resisting certain things, they are trying to say, okay, under this circumstance, you ought to be arrested, and you are seeking to resist, and all of that. Then they must use what is called the minimum force, reasonable force. Don't allow anybody into your vehicle without your permission. You can get out of the vehicle, park it at a proper place, and deal with them. The law says they can take your license. Read it there, it's there. They can actually take your license. They can impound, let's say it that way. License rather, if you have a license. Okay?
Yeah.
But even when they are sitting in, you know how they can practice on you. So please, the police in Ghana do not have body cams. The things they do, and when something happens, they can find colleagues who were not present at the event to be in